Welcome everyone to German Tool Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at the Wiha 43618 crimper for insulated lugs. From what I could tell, this is a Wiha branded version of the Wezag CK90. Wezag is one of those OEM companies that doesn't often sell their own branded tools, but instead makes them for much larger brands. This is why there is a nearly identical version of these crimpers sold by the following model numbers: the Ghidorah 8155, the Stravilla 6638, and the NWS 550-225. The giveaway is the distinct die pattern of the lower jaw, which is identical in all versions of this model. The only difference between all of these is the NWS model appears to have an additional feature, the clip and strip, which is a wire stripping and wire cutting attachment that fits in between the handles. When I first priced these out, I thought that the Wiha one was the cheapest, but it looks like at this time the Ghidorah one is the cheapest. My guess is that the difference in all these units will be minimal, if any, so it's probably a good idea to check the price on all four if you're planning to get one. These crimpers are used for insulated terminals from the 10 to 20 American wire gauge sizes. This would include MS25036 ring terminals, which would be the most common lug used for these type of applications. These produce a double crimp, which means they should only be used for non-heat shrink insulated lugs. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing. Included in the box are a set of instructions and the crimpers. A note that the Crimper Handle differs a bit from their catalog entry in that these have two component handles, with the black portion being a more rubber-like material. The Wiha name was molded directly into the handle using this two-component method. Looking at the markings on the tool, we have the Wiha name along with a pictogram of the types of terminals these crimpers are intended for. This is always nice to have, as you would be surprised by how often people use the wrong style crimper since there are so many types of crimp terminals out there. We also see the marking Z6200206, which appears to be an international part number for the crimpers that does not match the 43618 part number that these were purchased under. That is something to take a note if you ever want to reorder another pair. Also marked as the country of origin is Germany. The final marking is E180012, which I would suspect is a date code followed by a lot or serial number. One thing to note about this style of crimpers is that they do not have replaceable dies that you would see in higher end models. Instead, once the die wears out or fails, the entire crimper would need to be replaced. This is a trade-off between initial upfront cost and sustained cost of the tool that would depend on how often you used it. As noted on the outside of the box, these are rated for 50,000 cycles, which is a number that most people would never reach unless they are used in a production environment. Taking a closer look at the crimping end of the tool, a really nice touch by embossing both the metric sizes and American wire gauge sizes on either side of the tool. So often I just see these either laser etched on here or on cheaper tools they just put the colors. The colors just look to be marked with a dot of paint. The paint dot doesn't exactly look centered with the blue and yellow marks, which is not exactly what I would have expected for a tool at this price point. I would have probably liked to have seen that entire indentation filled with paint more clearly and neatly mark the dies. One thing to note is that at only 220 millimeters, these crimpers are a bit on the short side for doing the larger yellow terminals and require quite a bit of force for those particular sizes. The handles could have had a bit more length that would have made this operation easier. I'm not really going to go into how to perform an actual crimp with this tool, mostly because I'm not an expert on this and don't want to give any advice or recommendations that would be in violation of current or future IPC standards. The main point to make is that these are ratcheting crimpers, meaning that once you get the crimp started, the handles will not release until you fully travel and close them together. There is a small tab on the ratcheting mechanism that will allow you to prematurely release the handles in order to avoid possible damage to the tool if the wrong type of terminal was put into the die. It is possible to break this ratcheting mechanism, as I have seen it done before, and is not repairable once this happens. Just to be sure this was in fact a quality crimper, I went ahead and had some sample crimps pool tested. I would recommend doing this for any new brand of crimpers that you intend to use. All three of the dies passed the test without issue. The technician explained that they don't typically pull the test crimps to failure, just to whatever standard they're testing them to. Just for my amusement, I had the blue terminal tested with 16 American wire gauge to failure. The SAE AS7928 standard for this lug style and wire size is 50 pounds, or 222 newtons, which is the strictest standard for this type of testing. The unit under test failed at 62.5 pounds, and the failure was actually the wire itself broke. The crimp was fully intact and never failed. I'm told this is the intended failure condition and that the crimp should always be stronger than the wire itself. So I know the question is going to come up why I would pay over $100 for this style crimper versus the $25 ones that you can get off Amazon. The answer to that is really in brand reputation and whether you can afford to have a situation where you have a crimp fail in a fielded application. A company like Wezag has been doing this for over 70 years, and you don't stay in business that long unless you gain a reputation for making reliable electrical crimping tools. Those less expensive crimpers probably will work just the same, but I honestly wouldn't trust them without first getting it pool tested. It's more of a peace of mind than anything. And these by far are not the most expensive crimpers of the style you can get. Hopefully you enjoyed that look at the Wiha insulated lug crimper. Check out the link in the description of the full review. There are also some affiliate links in the description if you feel the urge to pick this unit up. Have a good week, and I'll catch you guys next time.